There's a couple things that are really hot right now. One is me under this Texas sun. It's over 90 degrees here in Austin. Another one is the crossover segment. It is really hot and Toyota is adding some fuel to the fire with this 2022 Corolla Cross. Imagine if you took a Corolla, raised it up a little bit, about 8 inches of ground clearance, added some body cladding, made it a little bit more like an SUV. Well, that's exactly what the Corolla Cross is. Now, for some people, the Toyota CHR is just a little bit too small, not that much space. For some people, the RAV4, a little bit too big. So this is something in between. So let's find out if this Corolla Cross is really in the Goldilocks zone. Is this the Goldilocks SUV for Toyota? This is something that the CHR doesn't have, something really important, and this has all-wheel drive available across all the grades. The CHR doesn't have that, so if you need to go where it's snowy, if you live in the Northeast, this is gonna be a much better choice for you. If we're counting Goldilocks points, and we are, all-wheel drive is definitely 1 point for the Goldilocks zone. Let's talk about the size compared to the CHR. This is about 3 inches longer than the CHR, and it's about 5 inches shorter than the RAV4, so it's just right. Another point for the Goldilocks zone. In terms of the design, Toyota definitely is giving this more of an SUV kind of feel. It's not really that much like the Corolla in terms of the way it looks. We've got a big, chunky black bumper. We've got a very big grille up front here, which kind of reminds me a little bit of the RAV4. I think that's a little bit intentional. And my apologies if you're getting a little bit of traffic noise. I've only got a very short period of time with this car. The headlights, these LED headlights kind of swoop all the way into the fenders here. That's a little bit from the Corolla. Something that gives it more of a chunky, boxy, kind of aggressive design are these front fenders. We've got this body cladding over here, and then moving over here, we sort of have this arrow that points towards the back of the vehicle. We have another arrow here that sort of points to the front, and looking down here, you've got this body cladding up here, which sort of gives the appearance of raising this thing up. By the way, this has a little over 8 inches of ground clearance, so it shouldn't be too bad in the winter, going a little bit of light off-roading. It's not bad for the amount of ground clearance that has for this segment. In the rear, we have these taillights that wrap around from the side all the way into the tailgate. Again, we have this black bumper, this sort of continuation of this theme, giving it this chunky, aggressive look. And by the way, this is the XLE trim, and we'll talk about the cargo space in just a second. That's actually something that's really important for the Corolla Cross. There are 3 different grades available at launch for the Corolla Cross. I'll talk about pricing in just a minute. This is the XLE, this is the top level trim. This gets 18-inch alloy wheels with 225 size tires. Going down to the LE, which is going to be the volume trim, the one that they're going to sell the most, that gets 17-inch alloy wheels. And then the base, the L, that gets 17-inch steelies. At launch, there's only going to be 1 engine choice available. That is the venerable 2-liter engine, the Dynamic Force engine, the D4S. It is port injected, and it also has direct injection too, so that's going to help you with fuel economy. It's going to keep the valves clean longer, and there's no turbocharger in here. And I think Toyota is doing that for reliability and longevity. It just kind of keeps things simple. Fuel economy varies from about 30 to 32 miles per gallon, depending on if you get the front-wheel drive version or the all-wheel drive version. It's actually pretty good in the city as well. So Toyota is kind of positioning this as a vehicle which gets very competitive fuel economy for its class, again, without going with turbos. And right now there's no hybrid option, but I think if you look to the future, Toyota has mentioned that there will be some sort of hybrid option coming down the pipeline. This vehicle, a version of this, is available in international markets, and it does come with a hybrid option internationally, so we can expect to see that here. The ride quality is pretty typical Toyota here, which means it's smooth, it's relaxed, the suspension is pretty soft. It soaks up bumps pretty effectively. When you get into really nasty surfaces, yeah, you get a little bit of impact harshness coming in, but overall, the ride quality is very, very good. It sort of verges a little bit more towards the luxury side, I would say. And the steering is very typical Toyota. Again, it's light, it's very easy to place the vehicle. So the engine itself, you're not gonna win any drag races with this. It's got 169 horsepower, 150 pound-feet of torque, which the torque is sort of in the middle of the rev band, so that's kind of nice. It's not an enthusiast engine, but you know, it has okay power. This has a CVT, which means a continuously variable transmission, but the first gear in this is a traditional first gear. So that means when I accelerate from 0, like that, I don't get so much of the rubber bandy effect that I would if this was a fully traditional CVT with no physical gear. So the first physical gear really does help quite a bit in making this feel a little bit more like a conventional automatic transmission. Now, it's not a completely conventional automatic transmission. It does do a little bit of the rubber band thing. So for example, here, if I give it a little bit of gas, you get a little bit of a disconnect between the engine and how fast you're going, but I don't think most people are really going to mind it all that much. It's a proven transmission that they've been using in the Corolla and other vehicles for quite a while. The cabin itself, it's actually pretty spacious. This feels a lot bigger than the normal Corolla or the Corolla hatchback. There's certainly a feeling of much more spaciousness in here. You've got a lot more headroom. You've got a lot of space. You've got a lot of good elbow room, so to speak. We'll talk about the back seat in a minute. That's quite comfortable too. These are Softex trimmed seats, which is sort of a leather type material. It's sort of an imitation leather. They're pretty comfortable. They're going to fit a pretty wide range of body types. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm 5'9", but certainly you're going to be able to fit someone who's a lot bigger in here. I can go pretty far back where I can't even touch the pedals. Probably not a good idea. Let's get a little bit closer. So you can get a very tall person here. A very big person is going to fit in here, no problem. If you're a little petite person in here, not a problem either. That's kind of close up. So a very good wide range of adjustability with the seats. They are very comfortable. The gauge cluster in here, very easy to read. This is a pretty affordable vehicle. This is a pretty practical vehicle. It's not going to break the bank. Got a little bit of hard plastic here and there, but again, at this price point, I think this is totally suited for where it is, especially considering the competition. This is a very easy driving car. It doesn't demand a lot from you. The controls are light. Everything's easy to use. Everything falls nicely at hand. This does have Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, which is a whole suite of safety features. Can't really demonstrate them here, but it has radar cruise control, which works pretty effectively. Toyota has a pretty decent system. It has lane tracing assist that keeps you in the center of your lane. It has a collision avoidance system, which will engage the brakes if it senses that you're about to hit a vehicle in front of you. And all of this is standard across all the different grades. I did another video a while back with the Corolla where I actually demonstrate the different aspects of the safety system, the suite of products. If you're interested in that, go check it out. I'll put a link down below. Toyota is aiming this vehicle at, I guess, a younger demographic. This is the vehicle they say that you can take downtown, and you can also go on a camping trip too. So this XLE trim has all-wheel drive, and if you're driving in inclement weather, it's going to be able to provide up to 50% of the power and send it to the rear wheels to give you a little bit more traction in the rear. And they do say that it is able to react without actually slipping. So you don't need to have wheel spin in order to engage the all-wheel drive system. It's very seamless. You don't really notice it driving around. Right now when I'm driving, normally you're just in front-wheel drive mode, and that preserves the fuel economy. When you need it, when you're in inclement conditions, it can kick in and give you a little bit of that extra traction that you need out back. If you live in the Northeast, if you live in Canada, if you live in a place with inclement weather, the fact that you can get an all-wheel drive system standard across the line, I think, is a pretty important differentiator for this segment. So there are 3 different grades. This is the XLE package. Let's take a look at the interior and see what it looks like. So this is the XLE grade. It has something called Softex in here. It's sort of a leather type material. It's actually not leather, so if you're a vegan, it's a pretty good choice. And if you're familiar with the Corolla, this is very much like a traditional Corolla in here. We have a center stack with the HVAC controls. Again, very, very familiar if you're used to the Corolla. One thing that I really like about this is we have physical controls here. We don't have any kind of haptics, anything like that. We have real buttons. It's really nice to press. I think that's really important, especially in this segment. I really just prefer physical control. To me, that makes a big difference. So also in this trim, in this XLE trim, we get an 8-inch center display. It has Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and it has Amazon Alexa. The whole impression of the XLE trim package is it's definitely much more premium. It feels a little bit more expensive. You're getting a more kind of higher end look and feel for this. And you know what? I think this is a pretty good value for what it is. You are going to pay a little bit more for the XLE package. Let's take a look at the back seat. So in the back seat, it's not massive. This is not RAV4 huge, but I do have a decent amount of knee room. I'm 5'9". I'm sitting behind myself. Not really a problem. There's definitely more space here than you're going to find in the regular Corolla or the Corolla hatchback. Headroom is definitely a little bit better too. And with this XLE, if I can flip down the center here, you do get an additional 2 cup holders. So you get 4 in the lower packages. You get 6 here. Kind of nice to have the extra cup holders in the back. All of the trim levels get vents for the rear passengers, so the rear passengers can give themselves a little bit of air or heat as they like. And also here we've got a couple of USB chargers too. We have a traditional Type C, or rather a traditional Type A, and an extra Type C. So this has 60/40 split rear seats. I'm going to fold down this one here. Let's see if we can make it. Well, we didn't quite make it. That is the 60 side, pretty handy. Now, one thing I'll point out when we get to the back, it doesn't actually fold completely flat with the floor, but you do get a lot of space. You can put skis in here, you could put a snowboard, you could put anything longer, you could put stuff that you're doing for home improvement back here. So 60/40 in all of the grades. So let's get over to the hatch area here. It does look a lot more SUV-like, and it doesn't really look much like the Corolla. I'm definitely getting RAV4 vibes back here. So this has a powered lift gate. This is an option on the XLE. And if you look back here, there is a lot more room than you're getting in your regular Corolla lineup, even the hatchback. This has way more space back here. In fact, if I just get back in here, for some reason, people seem to like it when I get in the back of cars. There's plenty of space back here, so you can easily fit a bunch of luggage. You can fit outdoor equipment. If you want to go camping, there's plenty of space here. So, you know, if you're single, if you're a couple, maybe you've just got, you know, one kid, this is very useful too. And one thing I like is we get, I don't know if I can pull it open here, but we have a cover here to hide your valuables as well. So to me, this is like one of the most important things about the Corolla Cross is you do get a lot more space back here than you get in the regular Corolla, the hatch, or the sedan, a little bit less than the RAV4. Let's talk pricing. The Corolla Cross L is an entry-level model. It starts at a little over $22,000. The volume seller, the LE, starts at a little over $24,000, and the upper-level trim package, the XLE, starts at a little over $26,000. You want all-wheel drive? Add $1,300 to each of these packages. The big question is this really the Goldilocks of SUVs, the SUV size? Is this in the Goldilocks zone? I put some points up on the screen. You can go ahead and count them. So in my mind, this is a very competitive segment. We've got Kia, we've got the Ford Escape, we've got 4 or 5 different competitors in this space, so it's a very, very crowded space. So I think Toyota has made an offering here that is quite compelling. If you find that the RAV4 is just too big for you and you're a Toyota fan, this is definitely going to suit your needs really well. If you don't like the CHR, I think this is going to be a really good fit as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Is this a vehicle that you would consider? My name is Eric. Thanks for watching.